Hi, welcome to the Medusa Yarn and Fiber YouTube channel. My name is Nikki and I'm your host, and this is a channel all about my crafting endeavors. Today's video is a floss tube about my cross stitching, so grab a beverage and your favorite craft and enjoy the video. Wanna drink my wine, wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine, wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine, wanna move my feet, wanna drink my wine. Hey, well, thank you to all of you who have been reaching out to me, asking me where I've been, what I've been up to, and my dad, because it's been a while. For those of you who have been with me throughout watching my videos, you know I'm a pretty inconsistent person when it comes to posting videos, but I think 9 months has got to be a record for me. I've never gone that long before. So if you stuck with me, thank you. And if you reached out to me to check up on me, thank you very much. I'm fine. Life is great. Nothing bad happened. I just got very busy and just kept putting it off. But I finally had some of my students, you girls know who you are, badgering me to make a video. So I thought, okay, I need to just sit down and make a video and get a little bit more consistent about it. So yes, I won't give too much of a life update over the last, since my last video. I mean, I'm not that interesting, but I did have a couple of highlights. Let's see, in January, I went to Spain, I went to Barcelona, and that was great. And then in March, just like a month ago, I went to Italy. I took a group of students to Italy. So I've had some really cool traveling experiences this year. So that's been a lot of fun. But otherwise, life is the same. My kids are finishing up 4th grade and 1st grade, so that's exciting. Although my daughter has now acquired 2 snakes that she caught in our yard, and so she now has 2 pet snakes. So she might at any point come in here and show you guys. I don't know. I'm hoping we don't get interrupted, but we'll see. So yes, let's get right to it. First of all, I think today is going to mostly be a WIP Parade. I have had several new starts, I believe, since my last floss tube. But first I'll start out with a few finishes from the end of last year, from the end of 2022, because I did have a few that I haven't shown you before. The first one I'm going to show you is Marion Horsburgh, 1866, by Hands Across the Sea. This was my very first sampler that was a reproduction sampler, and my very first Hands Across the Sea. So it was a perfect, cute little size to do. And let me get that a little closer. You'll have to excuse me. I'm trying a new setup with my phone, so I don't know what I'm doing. So I might be a little distracted by that, but I apologize. So this was one of the first projects I started after getting back into cross stitch, and it's on Aida. It's on 18 count Aida. And now that I've discovered hand-dyed linens, I much prefer to stitch on linens. But this was a nice soft Aida, and I did enjoy stitching on this. And I did it with all the called for DMC flosses. But because it's such a bright white Aida cloth, and it's a reproduction sampler from 1866, I would kind of like to grunge up the fabric a little bit, and I might do that with some tea bags. So if I do that, I will make a video of it. It's kind of nerve-wracking to dye the fabric after everything is stitched, I would imagine. I have never done it. So if I do it before framing it, I'll take a video. But I figure, especially with tea bags, it's not going to harm the threads, the cotton threads, all that much. All right, there you go. Marion Horsburgh, 1866. That's the first finish. The second one is what was a Halloween stitch that I finished up right around Halloween, but I didn't have it framed yet. And that is the La-Di-Da Something Wicked. So by the pricking of my thumb, something wicked this way comes. A nice, fast little Halloween sampler. on 36 count Havana by Weeks Dye Works. I absolutely love the color of this linen, this deep brown, and DMC threads. And I think there's only 2 or 3 colors. So this stitch took me way longer than it should have, but with so few colors and such sort of dark, morose colors on a dark fabric, it didn't call to me, but I did really enjoy stitching it. So hopefully I will have this framed by Halloween this year. And so it's got to be a really cool frame because it's such a simple pattern. And so I'll hopefully get that framed up very soon. Then around Christmas time, I went on a flurry of stitching for Christmas, and I'm just looking around for my book, which I cannot find. Oh well. Oh, here it is. Pardon me. From Home from the Holidays, Blackbird Designs. I'm stitching my way through this entire book. I think I'm going to stitch everything. And what I did at Christmas time is I did 2 of the 5 stockings that are in this book. So first of all, I'll show you the first one, Poinsettia, was the first one I did. And you can see it here. Sorry, like I said, new setup. I really don't, oh, there we go. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. It's now like a reverse image. Anyways, never mind. This is on just some mystery linen that I had laying around, probably a 30 or a 28 count. And I just picked out 2 red silk flosses that I had in my stash. I didn't use the called for threads. And it was a very, very quick stitch. I think I did it within just maybe 4 or 5 days. And then I finished it as she suggested on the back with some, I had picked up some French General reproduction fabric at a quilt show last June. And so they were fat 8ths, perfect for this. And so I used the red Christmassy looking one. And then I had made a little hanger and I had beaded it. And I don't know what I did. I guess I just was in a rush and I didn't do it properly and it fell apart. So I'll have to redo that so I can hang it this Christmas, but I don't have to worry about it, you know, until Christmas. So that's the first one. I was very pleased with it. Well, not instant, but quick gratification. It was done within 4 days. The second stocking that I did is My Heart is Home. And this one is again on mystery linen, probably 28 count, with the same 2 red silks that I used in the first one. Now this one isn't completely finished yet. I still need to fully finish it. And both of these stockings are done with 1 strand of silk floss over 28 count. So 2 strands of linen. So it's a very sparse coverage, which kind of gives it a rustic vintagey look, which I really like. And I will finish it the same way. And then the other 3 stockings I hope to do this Christmas, and I'll show them to you. Gift basket. And my plan is to use, you know, just more scrap linen and then the same silks, but they will get to be smaller because my scrap linen, I don't think I have any more 28 count scrap linen, because as I stitch more, my stitch count gets higher, or the linen count gets higher. Here's decorating the tree. So the stockings will get smaller, but that's okay. It's just for fun to hang around Christmas time. And as you can see, oh, this one's going to be so cute. I'll put 2023 if I do them this year, which I'm 98% sure I will. And all 5 of them have the alphabet. So we've got a really cute little fireplace in our living room, so they'll look really good there. Now I am stitching other projects from this book that I'll show you when I get to them, because now I will do a WIP Parade for you. Now, most of these you've seen before at some stage, probably, but I do have a few new starts that I'll show you. And what I've done is I've taken my day planner and I've kind of done my own book of days, organizing my projects. So if you see me looking down and trying to read from this book, or looking down and reading, it's to keep myself organized. So you'll have to excuse me for that. Okay, so my very first WIP that I'm going to show you for my WIP Parade is one of my favorite stitches right now, and that is Anne Webb, Hands Across the Sea Samplers. Isn't that gorgeous? Now, I don't have a picture of it handy. It's, I think, the one that I don't have handy, so I'll pin up what it will look like around here somewhere around my head. And this one I cast on when we were in Florida last year. I'm sorry, I will get the hang of this stupid config. Ah, there we go. When we were in Treasure Island in Florida last March. And I absolutely love this stitch. It's being done on 40 count Zweigart cream linen that I picked up when I was on the holiday, and then I immediately started stitching it. And I'm doing it with the called for silks, which are Auvert Soie d'Alger. And I love them because there's these beautiful, soft, pretty pinks and blues and beiges and creams, and it's really quite a beautiful stitch for the eyes. I really do love it. And this came up in WIP Go. I'm doing WIP Go this year. This came up for March. I don't remember. I got behind, and you'll see why in just a few minutes, but I am catching up on this. I have, I think, 3 or 4 more days to do this, and then I'm caught up for it on WIP Go. Just give me 1 second. I was able to keep going with WIP Go for about 2 months, and then when I went to Italy, I completely fell behind. All right, so that was number 1. Anne Webb, Hands Across the Sea. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. I know a lot of people are stitching it, and it's well worth it. Okay, so this next one I'm going to show you is the reason why I got behind on WIP Go. And it is Modern Folk Embroideries, Birds from Bernard's Books. This is what it's going to look like, and this is a bit of a, there we go. This is a bit of a, this piece of paper is really like used up and folded and creased. So it's a monochrome, beautiful, beautiful, stunning pattern that I absolutely fell in love with the minute I saw it. And of course the proceeds were for charity, so I had to hop on board for that. And this is what I have so far. Now I love this stitch so much. Which way do I want to go to show you the bottom? Here we go. Isn't that beautiful? It's just so, so stunning. Now what I'm doing this on is 30, 1 second please. 32 count earthen by Picture This Plus. And the silk I chose, I decided to go with a monochrome, right? Because it's kind of a busy pattern. And I chose a silk by the Karen collection, Water Lilies, and it's a variegated silk. And it's got these beautiful plummy, and it's called plum, blues, like a really deep tealy bluish greenish color, sort of a maroon color, and then a deep purple color. So you can see the variegation in this thread. It's a dream to work with. I mean, I prefer this over Auvert Soie. I know, don't tell Nicola Parkman, but I have to say it's an unbelievable silk to work with. And this came up for March in the WIP Go, and I just didn't stop. I had only had, when I first, the last time I showed you guys, I think I just had a little bit of this corner done over here. And then when it showed up for March WIP Go, that was it. It's all I've been working on. So I've gotten quite a bit of progress. Love it. I think it's going to become a focus piece. So even, I want this finished and on my wall. It's so gorgeous. And so even when it's not called for in WIP Go, I think I'm still going to be working on it, maybe one thread a day, so that I can get it finished. Now I have a complete dry spot in my throat, so excuse me. And I don't know if you can hear that in the background, but it's my kids fighting over probably a video game. But I'm just hoping that the fighting and the arguing keeps them away from interrupting me. You know, electronic babysitters, what would we do without them? My husband's gone to Montreal for a couple of days for work, so he can't occupy them while I do this. So hopefully they're not too distracting. If I have to yell at them, I will. All right, the next one I'm going to show you is another modern folk embroidery pattern, and this was the stitch along. Excuse me. So this was the 2021, the Fruit of Plenty, or Fruits of Plenty, I've seen it both ways, from 2021. This gorgeous specimen that I absolutely love. Of course, anything Jacob de Craft does is stunning, and I want to stitch all the things he designs. Now this one has been a labor of love, and I have to admit it's been in timeout, and that's my own fault because I created a bit of a ridiculous situation with this one. You can really see how dingy my linen has gotten. I guess I haven't been that vigilant with washing my hands. But anyway, it's on 28 count linen, white, just pure white linen that I picked up at like Hobby Lobby or something like that, because I really like the blue-white contrast. But the problem is that I decided to do it 1/1, so one strand of floss over one strand of linen to make it fit on this piece of linen. So the stitches are tiny, tiny, tiny. And so it's a tough one to focus on for long periods of time. So as you can see, I have January, February, March, April. January, February, March, April. Now I'm into May. And I haven't worked on this one in quite a long time, but then it came up for both numbers for April. And we're at the end of April now, and I still haven't worked on it. So this is going to be a long time. And for when it comes up on WIP Go, if you don't know what WIP Go is, go see Jessie Creates. I think that's her name, Jessie Marie Creates. She's the creator of WIP Go. If you go check out her Facebook page and her Flosstube channel, she tells you all about it, but it's basically bingo for cross stitching or any craft. So when she calls numbers, it's two numbers. And for April, when this one is on my WIP Go board, it's to complete a month. And it came up twice. Both of the numbers in April are for this one, and I haven't picked it up yet. And here we are at the end of April. So I have a lot to catch up on this with, but I'm not going to feel guilty because you got to stitch what you love when you love it, right? So, and I don't love it right now. I love the pattern. I love how it's going to look, but not today. So it's going to sit for at least another couple days before I pick it up and get it into the rotation. The flosses I'm using are just the two-tone blue that he calls for in the pattern. Because I think the way he has the pattern is perfect. The two blues on the white is perfect. All right, next we have, my very first of two long dog samplers, the Spirit of Verland. Now I've been drooling over Verland samplers for quite some time. And I've really wanted to do one. So what do? I go to Long Dog Samplers to pick one out. So you know it's going to be a huge, huge project. So this one is going to be like a long haul. I don't expect to finish it anytime soon. And so I picked up some antique white Zweigart linen, which is 40 count, which is my favorite now, is 40 count. And yeah, I'm doing very poor practice, not following the rules. I'm leaving my needles in my projects. So not a lot started, but I do have a little bit. The black on white is a nice striking look. And it's 40 count Zweigart linen, and I'm using the Overa Soie, but I'm using the 103 threads because it's such a nice skinny, thin thread that's really nice for 40 count or higher. And I do prefer it over Soie d'Alger silks, that's for sure. So it's going to be a long haul, but it'll be an enjoyable one, and it hasn't shown up on WIP Go yet. But I love, love, love those German samplers. They're beautiful. So Spirit of Verland, Long Dog samplers. Those little samplers are no joke. I have to say, they're huge. This one is 277 stitches by 357. And it looks like it's practically full coverage, but it'll be fun. All right, next one is, I've got a series of Teresa Kogut patterns coming up. I was in her Patreon for most of last year, and then I think I stopped February, of this year, February or March. And this was her Strawberry Manor stitch along, mystery stitch along that was only for her Patreons. And I think it was only for level 4 Patreons, which that's the level I had chosen. It's a fantastic Patreon. I stopped simply because I think I have now, more samplers and more patterns from her than I'll ever stitch. And so I just decided to put the brakes on it and just buy the patterns I do want from her. Because a lot of them, they're all beautiful, but a lot of them I'll never stitch. So I think in the long run, I'll end up probably spending just as much money supporting her, only buying the patterns I know I'll actually stitch. This one I'll stitch. And I believe she released it, this is a computer generated photograph, but I believe she had it model stitched and released it at market. If you want to see what it looks like stitched up. I'm stitching mine on 40 count Zweigart. It's the printed one, the vintage mocha. Let me look here. I got it somewhere. Vintage country mocha. So it's the one that's printed. So there's a wrong side and a right side, or a printed side and a plain side. So I'm doing the printed side, and I've got a half a yard of this linen, so there'll be plenty left over. And I don't have a whole lot done. I didn't even finish the first month, and I'm doing my own silk conversion. She charted it for DMC, and I think there might be a couple specialty overdyes in it. I don't remember, but I'm doing a silk conversion because I just love, love, love stitching with silk. I haven't gotten very far, but look at those adorable sheep. Aren't they just so, so cute? I had to do those almost immediately because I'm a sheep lover. I'm keeping track of my silk conversion, but I'm just kind of stash diving whenever I need to. I have enough leftover silks from other projects that I can usually match up what I need when I need it. So I really need to get going on this one. Again, it hasn't come up on WIP Go yet this year. Another Teresa Kogut, which I think, again, even though this is computer generated photograph, it has been model stitched now for market, which took place a couple months ago in Nashville. This one, my jaw just about hit the floor when I saw that border, and I knew I had to stitch it. But then I decided to stitch it on some 56 count linen that I picked up at Dixie Darlin Cross Stitch out in Pigeon Forge before they closed down. She sold the business, or no, she didn't sell the business. She just retired and closed down the store. So I'd gotten some 56 count linen, and then I dyed it myself, and I didn't iron anything for today. You'll have to excuse me. And I'm doing it with my own silk conversion again, and I have never stitched on such fine linen, and it's taking me a little bit to get my sea legs, so to speak. So I started out with this huge flower, and most of the silks in that one were from and web, some soie d'Alger. If you were to get up close with a microscope or a magnifying glass, you'd see it's a disaster. I was missing linen threads. It was just awful. Things got significantly better when I moved down to this red flower, and I switched over to the color for that one was a Overa Soie 103, the super, super thin one. And it was a game changer. I was able to do it. My eyes adjusted better, and I haven't made any mistakes. I'm not going to pick this out and redo it. It's just sort of what it is. It'll be fine. So I don't have much progress on it because it was tough to get started on 56 count. But now that I know that if I get all of the silk conversions to the Overa Soie 103, there'll be no problem. But the soie d'Alger and the needlepoint silk is just thick enough that it's very easy to make a mistake. Like, it's too thick for 56 count linen. So I feel so special. I'm now part of the 56 count linen club, if there is such a thing. All right, another Teresa Koga chart. This one is not something I would normally stitch. I'm not into the cutesy stitching, but I thought it was adorable, and I had some blue linen that I hand dyed that I couldn't imagine using for anything else. It's not this dark of a blue, but this was one of her Patreon charts from December. Just like the winter snowman. I thought it was cute enough. Again, not really my style, but I liked it enough, and I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. Now this is 46 count linen that I hand dyed myself, and this is kind of pitiable. I can't even really call this much of a works in progress, but it is a start. I do have the K and part of the E from Keep Warm. And it's 46 count, hand dyed by me, and I'm doing my own silk conversion from the DMC. I'm not drawn to it, but when it shows up in my rotation, it won't take long. Oh, and I should say, I'm not gonna do the winter. I'm gonna stop at the little trees in the bottom of the snowman. I think it's pretty obvious what season he's from. And it's just unnecessary. That's a lot of stitching in white that I don't think is necessary, especially after I get through the big fat snowman. Well, I guess he's not that fat, but look at the cat. Look at the little kitty cat in the purse. Come on. All right, how are we doing? Oh, 30 minutes in, not too bad. Okay, now this next project is gonna be the Long Haul Labor of Love. It's Inspiration by Rosewood Manor, designed by the incomparable Karen Kluba. And the first time I saw this was on Ellen Reid's Maximum Power Hour cross stitch. You know the Ellen Reid, she was the one of the singers from, well, still is one of the singers from the Crash Test Dummies, which is the soundtrack to my college years. They were huge in Winnipeg when I was an undergraduate in university. And she grew up in a town that's only about 45-minute, maybe an hour drive from the town I grew up in. So I just kind of feel like, oh, cool, plus she's a cross-stitcher. You know, she lives in Toronto now. She's always been one of my idols, especially back then when, in the 90s, well, I guess women were becoming a little bit more mainstream in the rock music scene, but she was just amazing. And anyway, I digress as I gush about her. She had finished it, and my jaw hit the floor when I saw her finished object in her Flosstube. So I immediately ordered it. Really had no idea what I was getting into. Really had no idea. Because when I looked at it, I guess I didn't look at it very closely, but you know all those little green vines that are connecting all the flowers and everything together? I just assumed they were little cross stitches. I didn't look that closely. I don't know, maybe I was trying not to look too closely because I didn't want it to prevent me from ordering it. But it's all backstitch. I don't like to backstitch. But anyway, here we go. This is how much I have done. Now let me tell you, this is so many hours of work. I can't even begin to tell you. Now, the great thing about this is that it is the finest linen. It is Buttercream by Lakeside Linens, 32 count. So I'm doing it 2/2, and I'm doing it with the DMC. I was gonna do a silk conversion, and in fact, the little zigzag stitch you see across the top was silk, but then, or is silk, but then you have to stop and start so many times because all of these flowers have so many different colors in them. It's kind of like confetti, but not quite confetti. I decided that it would just be so expensive to have to buy that many different colors of silk, and it's a bit of a thread waster. So I went with DMC, and I'm just absolutely loving it. It's gonna be like, it's just so dreamy and romantic and feminine, and I love it so much, but it is a hard thing to work on. There's not a lot of gratification. You work a long time, like 2 hours, and then all you have is one tiny little flower because you stopped and started so much. And then you got to do all that back stitching to connect them all together. Well, why am I complaining? What can I say? I do love it. So 32 count Buttercream by Lakeside Linen and DMC. That's going to be years before I get that done. It came up in WIP Go in January, and I was very excited, and I got quite a bit of progress done on it. Ooh, next one. This came up in January as well. I think it was Rosewood Manor Inspiration in this one where my January WIP goes. So I had a strong year, like 2 amazing patterns to start in January. Rejoice Evermore by Brenda Gervais with Thy Needle and Thread. Gorgeous. I'm doing mine on 40 count R&R Reproduction Fabrics Barb's Blend. And I'm doing it with all the called for overdye cottons. The Weeks Dye Works, Sound, Gentle Arts, like just whatever it is. I don't have that in front of me, but they're all gorgeous, variegated, overdyed cottons that are just really beautiful. Like, look at those teal birds and flowers. Aren't they beautiful? I love working on this one. There are some specialty stitches. There's satin stitch across there, but I had no problems with with that anyway. That's the only one I've encountered so far. There might be 1 or 2 other. Is it maybe some eyelets, I think, in this one? But yeah, beautiful stitch. I'm sad that it's out of my rotation for the year because it's only on my WIP Go board once. So once Birds from Bernard's Books is done as a kind of a backup feature piece, I think this one will become the next one. Oh, now we have an autumnal one, Plum Street Samplers, The Harvest Keeper. This was pretty popular a while back, pardon me. Kind of a, not Halloween, but definitely autumnal. Beautiful, beautiful little pattern. I'm doing mine on 40 count Witch Elk Permin in the natural brown, which means it's a very stiff, rustic linen. Which way am I going? This way. Whoop. Oh God, I'm really out of practice, aren't I? DMC, 40 count rustic, very stiff linen. I like it. I have no complaints about it. I know a lot of people don't like the Witch Elk Permin for that reason. I think it's got its place, especially for something with all these beautiful fall colors. And my little boho steampunk elephant needle minder that I made, which is kind of fun. I'm looking forward to this getting back on my, back into rotation, because that border, the swirly border of the vine is quite fun to stitch. Fox and Rabbit. I'm also in their Patreon, or at least I was, until I think February. I think at the end of February, I just decided to withdraw from both. This is the first, and right now only, pattern of theirs that I've been working on. And again, it was a computer-generated chart, Marianne Bird, 1834. I think since then, which was, I can't remember which month this was. Let me see if it says. It doesn't say, sometime in 2022. I think since then they have had it model stitched, but I haven't seen it. This one I'm doing on just a plain white 40 count. Actually, I think it's the antique white, the same one as that I'm doing the Spirit of Verland on. 40 count Zweigart linen, and I'm just doing my own floss conversion to silk. And it really, the camera or my phone or the video really doesn't do justice the way the shine on the browns and golds and greens really are beautiful on this particular linen. It's quite striking. And all the color palette isn't really my color palette. It's kind of outside my comfort zone, but I do love it. And working with silks, of course, makes everything better. But it has a real, well, in my opinion, of course, if you don't like silk, so be it. I like DMC too, I'm just saying. It has a real Christmassy feel to it. It's hard to explain. I guess the evergreen trees and the holly berries might have something to do with it. But beautiful. It's my one and only that I can think of Fox and Rabbit stitch that I have going on. But I will do more of theirs because I have so many from when I was a patron. Next one. Ooh, another Long Dog sampler. This one is Token of Love. Monochrome. Just the red. It kind of has a Quaker feel to it, I think. So it kind of reminds you of the Spirit of Verland as well with the motifs. This one I decided to do on Picture This Plus Mellow, and I believe it is 28 count. So it's kind of a larger count that I now wouldn't buy, but it's such a gorgeous piece of linen, and I think it looks so nice with just a red monochrome motif on it. I thought it was perfect. Now, what I did with this is I started out doing it, I picked out a beautiful, I think it's an NPI silk that I like, or it could be Auvera Soie. I don't have it handy. Wait, do I have it written down? I'm doing it with Soie d'Alger 2916 because I had it. And what I did is I started out one strand of floss over 2 strands of linen. And at first I thought it would be great because I liked that on the stockings, but I didn't like it so much on this one. I found the coverage just a little too sparse. And so what I did is I went through and put another thread, another strand of floss throughout. And you can see where I've done it, here, but these leaves down here, I haven't gone through with the second thread yet. Like you can see, it's much sparser. I did with one elephant, but you can kind of tell with these trees right here. I haven't done the second strand of floss yet. But all this part over here is with 2 strands of silk. So I effectively doubled how much this is going to cost me in silk. And it's a fair size sampler. It's 200 by 235 without my readers on. So, I mean, it's going to be, you know, a little bit more expensive, but it's also going to be something that I'll pick away at. And the dye lots for Soie d'Alger are consistent. So it's not like I have to buy all of the silk today. I've bought this particular color several different times and it's always been the same. That's the nice thing about commercially dyed fibers, right? Is that they're usually pretty consistent in their dye lots, especially a company like Auvera Soie. So 28 count, Picture This Plus Mellow, 2 strands of Soie d'Alger over 2 strands of linen. All right, what's next? I'm coming close to the end, and I'm only 40, not even 45 minutes in, so that's not bad. Okay, so like a lot of other people, I've jumped on the Martha Evans 1879 bandwagon to celebrate Brenda and the Serial Starter to celebrate her 60th birthday. So I jumped on that bandwagon. I ordered my kit from the attic, and it arrived, and I went with all the called for. So I believe it's Hemingway linen by Needle and Flax, 40 count. It's still in the Q-snap. I really like the linen. It's not, I don't think it's a color I would have naturally bought. But now that I have it, that it was part of the kit and what was called for, I absolutely love it. So 40 count Hemingway by Needle and Flax, and I'm using the 103 Auvera Soie silks. And that's how far I've gotten. I started, I guess, at the end of January. It's not in my WIP Go because I made my WIP Go in December. So it'll be one of those things that I'll just stitch on it whenever I want, and I'll make sure it goes into next year's WIP Go. Beautiful. If you're not stitching it, you should. It's a great stitch. And it's just different. I mean, the colors are different. Putting, I don't know, like just a white with the red and the berry around the border, the white bird with the purple back. It's just not something you see in these types of samplers all the time. This coral peachy color, gray. I don't know, just for all the samplers I've been working on, this color palette is kind of different, and I do like it. It's again, out of my comfort zone. Good place to be. Oh, another Teresa Kogut. Happy House. This one I absolutely love. Again, I'm sure by now she has a model stitched up on of it, but back in January, she didn't have the model. I think, you know what? Out of all the Patreon charts I've gotten from her over the last year, I think it was this basket of flowers next to the house that made me decide to start it almost immediately. I don't know what it is about it. I just love it. The only thing I might change is I don't think I'm going to do a brown house. I think I might make it red, kind of to match the other red in it. We'll see. I'm doing it on some linen I dyed myself. It's a 32 count linen that I dyed sort of this very light pinky color. I don't know how well that's coming across on the video. And I don't have a whole lot started there, but I am doing a silk conversion from my stash. And I think it's Soie d'Alger that I have in there so far. And with 32 count, I'm doing 2 strands over 2, I'm pretty sure. I don't have it written down, and it's been too long. I think I just started it in January. So yeah, it's very pretty. And I'll just kind of do my silk conversion as I go. And as I buy and kit up more projects, my silk stash grows. This one, Hanky Pasanky by Ink Circles. I'm pretty sure this is a computer generated picture. If it's a picture of a stitched model, it's not a very good quality one. I'm pretty sure it's computer generated. Now, I am also, okay, so I'm not Ukrainian. Hold on a second. Oh, we're about to be interrupted. Oh, maybe not. I'm not Ukrainian, but I grew up in a community dominated by Ukrainians. So doing Pisanki, the Ukrainian egg art of dyeing with acid dyes and beeswax is something I did all the time when I was a kid, and I still do it. My kids do it. So I absolutely had to do this one, but I haven't gotten very far. I just started it, then stopped because, you know, black linen is not not all that fun to stitch on, I have to say. And this one is a 32 count, and I'm doing it with DMC. Now, my plan is to make matching eggs. And let me, I'll just show you very quickly some of the eggs I've done in the past. And like I said, my intention is to actually do eggs to match it, but right now with my schedule, this is a delicate art, right? I'll show you one that I've done. I've done quite a few. I'm not very good at it. Like there's some amazing artists out there. But it's a very delicate art, right? This is an eggshell that's been blown out before I started, and then, you know, it's painstaking. Here's another one I did. So it can be devastating if you are halfway through. Sorry, the kids are screaming. If you're halfway through and you break your egg, or you're finished and the egg breaks. I mean, it's devastating. So at least with fiber arts, you can fudge it, right? Often, like, you can rip it out, redo it, whatever. You can't put together a shattered egg, can you? There's a two-tone one. So also, it's a really fun thing to do, but oh, this one took me a long time. Look at how fun that is, how beautiful. And all of these symbols, I follow a pattern. This is not me freelancing it, right? I follow patterns from a book. And they're all religious symbols, like pagan and Christian symbols on the eggs. This one took a long time, but I was pretty proud of it. Here, I guess it'd be better if I was holding it like this, but I'm scared that I'll, like, literally, as I'm talking about how fragile this art form is, that I'll drop one. So for now, I mean, I do let my kids do it with me when I do it, but it's just one of those things where it's not something that I do consistently anymore. But I will get back to it because I love doing it. It's always so much fun. So eventually, for each motif, I'd like to do a matching Pisanki egg. Wouldn't that be cool? Oh, a Halloween stitch. Two kind of Halloween-y stitches. This one is Sleepy Hollow by Glendon Place. Technically, I'm stitching this one for my son, but I suspect it'll hang on my wall because not a lot of, I mean, he's almost 11 now. By the time I'm done this, he'll probably be 12 or 13. Not a lot of 12 or 13-year-old boys want cross-stitch hanging on their walls, but this is kind of cool. I mean, it is the Headless Horseman after all. So we'll see. I might just keep it until he's older and has a better appreciation for it. Now, this one is on excuse me, 28 count, Picture This Plus, Haunted. Now, come on. Is that not the perfect dyed linen for this project? Right? I mean, it looks like just the fabric alone looks like a haunted forest. It's just amazing that they're just so talented over there. And I'm doing it with DMC. I don't have very much. I just have a bit of the border done. But that's okay. It's not, I'm in no rush. I do enjoy stitching Halloween, but only during Halloween. So hopefully when this comes up on my WIP Go, it'll be this fall. But if not, I'll work on it in the fall, whether it's on my WIP Go or not. So 28 count, Haunted by Picture This Plus, called for DMC. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do the beads. There's beads on this one. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do beads. I'm not sure if beading belongs in Halloween. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Tell me what you would do, if you have done this one, did you do the beads? And how did it work out? Let me know. This one is a stitch along, a mystery stitch along by the Witchy Stitcher called Supernatural. She started it last June, or was it July? June. Sorry, I literally just had to count the months on my fingers. Oh, where in June we're supposed to stitch the border, and then every week for the next few months, she released a creature for the Supernatural mystery stitch along. And of course, I fell behind. I got the djinn, the werewolf, the zombie. What's that? The siren, the banshee, the changeling, and the angel. And I can't remember what this one is. And I don't even know what the other creatures are. Like, I have not even looked. Because of course I fell behind, as you do. But isn't that just so fun looking? It wasn't a Halloween stitch, but during Halloween, that's definitely when I'll get back to it. It's kind of a pity too. I should just do it now because it only takes a few hours, maybe more than a few hours, an evening of solid stitching to do one of the creatures. So I very easily could have this done. Maybe when it shows up on WIP Go, I'll just try to finish it entirely in that month. So the linen is 30 count Old Salem by Primitive Hair. It was what was called for this project. It's gorgeous. It's not color fast though. It's coffee and tea dyed. Can't smell it anymore, but for the first few weeks that when it arrived and then when I was working on it, it smelled so good. It just smelled like coffee and tea, which means it's not color fast. So I'm not gonna really wanna wash it when I'm done. But that's okay, I don't think I need to. I don't like stitching with DMC 310. It's not a great thread, but I already have so much of it for this. I'm not going to switch. But everything is the called for DMC. It's fun. It's a great, great stitch. 2 more. And both of them are back to the Home for the Holidays Blackbird Designs. I am stitching 'Tis the Season. And I'm doing it in French. C'est la saison pour être joyeux. Beautiful. And I'm doing it on 32 count. I'm doing it on the called for linen. 32 count Pear by Lakeside Linens. Is it Lakeside Linens? I have Lakeside Linens written down, but I feel like it was, yeah. 32 count Pear by Lakeside Linens. And I'm using the silks. It's the Belle Soie overdyed silk. The red bird is Poison Apple. The white I'm just substituting from something in my stash. And that's what I was gonna do for the rest of it, thinking it would just be too expensive because Belle Soie silk is very, very expensive. The overdyed. But at the end of the day, you don't really need that much. I wanted the bird to look exactly like that. And I think I might get the called for silk for the holly that runs throughout, kind of like the border, because that's a pretty cool variegation it has going on. And then just go into my stash for like the browns or the beiges and the whites. I'll see. I can order at any point. But I made sure I had the Poison Apple Belle Soie for the bird. A nice stitch, and of course, Lakeside Linens. Amazing, amazing linen. The colors are just perfect. And finally, last but not least, what everybody should either has stitched, will stitch, or probably wants to stitch is Christmas Garden. Just exquisite, an exquisite sampler. I'm doing mine on .32 count Picture This Plus linen Legacy, 32 count, and I'm doing the called for threads, and it's just amazing to think that there's only 4 different colors in this. Wait, up, there we go. I'm getting there. I have 2 out of the 4 pages finished. I love this linen because the green, kind of grungy, slimy color throughout the linen matches the green thread, which is an endive overdyed. So overdyed cottons. Absolutely love it. I did have a highlighter mishap. You can see those 3 blue dots. So I'm hoping they get covered up nicely. But hey man, that's life. That's life with kids. Although I think in this case it was my fault. I know on the Fruits of Plenty Modern Folk Embroidery, there's a couple of red wine spills that I got out that my daughter and I sort of collaborated somehow and accidentally spilled at the same time. But not that she's drinking red, never mind. You know what I'm saying. Okay, so that's it. The only thing I'm not showing you, there's 2 things I'm not showing you. I'm not showing you my full coverage because I haven't put a stitch on it in like 2 years. And I'm not sure I'm going to. I'll think about it. I need to kind of reset how I feel about full coverage. And another one that I'm not going to bother to show out because I've decided not to continue with it is Flea Market Flowers by Lori Holt. I'm not even pulling it out of the project bag because I'm going to scrap it. I will restart it though and do it on something else. Oh, but yes, this is a project bag I made. I have tons of project bags that I made that I'll show you some other time. They're a lot of fun to make. So that's it for my works in progress for my WIP Parade. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, it's coming up on the end of April, which means next month is Mania. And I've decided I'm not going to participate in Mania in any sort of manic way. I'm just allowing myself one new start. I think aside from January, I haven't had any new starts this year. And I'm really trying to not have any more starts, simply because I'm already feeling a low level of anxiety with 25 or 26 works in progress. So I don't want to add to that. But I am going to finally get a tasket started again, a project bag I made. I love this one. I love them all, but I especially love this one, the bee fabric. And it's the same fabric throughout, inside and out. But this one is a Tasket, again by Karen Kluba, Rosewood Manners. I've been drooling over this, but could never get the linen. It's vellum by Picture This Plus. And I decided I wanted to do it on 40 count. It calls for 28 count, but I'm going to do it on 40 count. And I hope it works out, because that's a big difference for overdyed flosses. It's all overdyed cottons, variegated cottons, but it'll work out. So finally, 1, 2, 3 Stitch has the linen, and I've ordered it, and it's on its way, and it should be here by May 1st. And I've had this kitted up with the overdyes, the Weeks Dye Works, for like a year and a half now. So I've just been, and I'm gonna need more than this. I just got what I could at the time. So we have that. As soon as the linen arrives, May 1st, I'm starting this beauty, a Tasket. So hopefully the next time I do a video, I'll have it started. So that's all I'm gonna do for May. And I'm gonna get even further behind in WIP Go. I'll make this a feature. I know you all understand. I'm like getting kind of overwhelmed at the prospect of everything I want to do. But at the end of the day, we should just stitch what we love and what we want to stitch, right? Okay, well, thank you so much for sticking with me for an entire hour to get through this. I hope that you're all doing really well. I'd love to hear any comments that you have about any of my projects. And if you're stitching any of them, please let me know how it's going. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you again soon. And yeah, take care and happy stitching.